And then I noticed in the midst of all this noise, whether it was the wind or the rain coming down, beating on the roof, on the deck outside, the talk that she was giving, I started to notice that there's actually, that moment was permeated with this sort of great stillness. This sort of immensity of quiet. And all this noise was still happening. And at that moment, without intending so, this other way of sensing any moment had opened up, had begun to blossom. And I was experiencing the totality of the moment rather than just one little small segment of it. I started with one little segment, just the talk, just the words. And when I spontaneously listened through the whole of it, this other sort of intuitive sensory organ, you might say, opened up and I could hear all of it. That the words and the rain sound and the wind and the silence, nothing was preferred, you see. Nothing was being grasped at, nothing was being pushed away. All of it was just had equal value. Everything in my own being had equal value. Then there was this incredible stillness and this sort of presence. I realized I had rarely actually experienced a moment like that, where I was experiencing the totality of the moment. The one thing that was absent was that I had absolutely no personal narrative happening. My mind wasn't talking to me about what was happening. It was just relaxed. Do you see how different it is just to sort of relax in this way? And all the thinking and striving and struggling and all the stuff that one does, do you know? This firm belief that there has to be conclusions to everything. And it seems at first glimpse like something relatively small, unimportant. But the more you go into all of this, the spiritual life, what hopefully you begin to realize is that it's very often the case that the big noisy things that seem to be extraordinarily valuable aren't as valuable as they seem to be, and the things that seem to not be so valuable because they're in their simplicity and obviousness that you would discount actually end up to be the most important of all. And it just goes because the way we're conditioned. We are conditioned towards what's obvious, glaring, and noisy. You know? Whether it's something on the outside or something on the inside. We're not so much taught to value things that aren't noisy, at things that aren't trying to grab our attention, which is really what these 10 minutes that we spend in silence together whenever we meet here is really about. You could spend those 10 minutes in some sort of mental anticipation of the words. And at some point, it's going to dawn on you, if it hasn't already, that the silence it's the deepest teacher. That's what gives you access. That's what gives you access to the deeper dimension of being.